Hi, welcome to And We're in the Kitchen. Today we're going to talk about braising beef. How do we braise a meat? Let's get down here on the counter. Here you see a room temperature bone-in chuck roast. We've patted it dry, seasoned it, and I've already cut and seasoned my vegetables. This is just potatoes and carrots, but most people cut up an onion and stick it in there too. This is seasoned with olive oil, salt, and pepper. Just keep it simple. You don't need to complicate things. And just try to cut the pieces so that they'll cook about the same time. So you'll see my carrot is about the same size as my potato. Okay? And then we have about a cup of beef broth. You can use chicken or vegetable in a pinch, but traditionally, when you're cooking beef, you want to stick with beef broth. I have my oven preheated to 250 degrees, and I've got my pots that I'm going to be browning things in and cooking everything in on the stove. All right, so this should be hot. I'm going to go ahead and pump up the heat a little bit, and I'm going to stick my meat in there to brown it. Okay, browning is an important part of this process. Yeah, I hear that sizzle. Oh yeah, that's a good sizzle. Sizzling is important when you're cooking like this because you want to seal the outside of your beef. And also it gives a really nice additional flavor to the flavor profile. So this is like a little layer. I'll turn my heat up a little bit and let this go. Now you want to leave your meat in the pot browning for a good amount of time. Because if you take it out too early, it's going to stick to your pan and it's not going to be brown. It's going to just kind of be a big mess. Enjoy the sizzle. It can be hard to be patient. Check it. Okay, it's not wanting to come out of the pan easily. That's a sure way to know that it's not done browning. Okay? If you have to literally peel your meat off the pan, you're doing it too soon. Okay, so I'm trying to demonstrate that by showing you with this. That one is almost done. Okay, so we came free a little reluctantly, but we came off. So we'll give it about 30 more seconds. What I have for greasing this is olive oil. You can also use butter, or you can mix butter with olive oil. All right, here we go. I'm trying to rush this process today. I actually have plans this morning with my family. Homeschooling is fun, but it keeps you busy. We're almost there. There we go. Okay. Sometimes when you have the bone in, it makes things a little bit complicated. Because my steak isn't bending as much as I would like it to fit in the pan. I am flipping this a little bit earlier, guys, but I think we've got enough brown to show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. We've got a little bit of brown. But like I said, I did flip it early because I'm trying to rush. But I want to show you guys both ways, okay? So you saw how much I had to struggle with getting that over. Partially because there's a long bone in this cut. But also, so this little kind of oddball chunk came off quickly because look, here, do you see how much browner that is than this rest of the steak? I've got a little browning here, but this is not really browned, okay? We were looking for like a caramelized brown. So how to make that happen a little bit faster is just pump up your heat. I started with a medium temperature and I pumped it up to high. But because I have an electric stove, you don't get like instantaneous increase, right? You gotta wait for it to kind of get there. If you're working with a gas stove, consider yourself lucky. It's a blessing in culinary world to have a gas stove, but we still can work with an electric, right guys? We gotta be flexible and work with what we got. Alright, let's turn my heat down now because I think my seasoning might start burning actually if I keep it on high for too long. Alright, so what are we going to do when this is done browning? After this is done browning, we are going to start working with our vegetables and our broth. So we're going to have to remove that steak from the pan. We'll put it back on our cutting board, and then we're going to toss our veggies in the pot, stir them around a little bit, add our broth, okay, so that we can get all the yummy flavoring on the bottom of the pot up into that broth. And then we're going to add our meat back in, kind of make sure that the meat is touching that liquid, but not fully submerged. Okay, so that's part of the reason why we have vegetables and a small amount of broth, right? We want our meat to be partially in the liquid, but not fully in the liquid. Because once we put it fully in the liquid, it's no longer braising. Okay, let's take a look at our meat again. Alright, that came out a lot easier. Yeah, see, look at that browning. You see the difference from this side to the last side, which I pulled too early for you? Look at that! Okay, this is kind of what we want. And if you have a nice, even bottom pan, you would be able to have a nice, even browning. So let's look at this on the cutting board real quick. Can you guys see? The browning on this side is beautiful. We could do a little bit more here and over here, but it's not going to happen in the pot I've got. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of broth to our pot. Watch out for steam, it is hot. Huh. Alright, just give your pan a little shake. Kind of scrape the bottom. Because I don't want those little bits to burn. I just want them to be brown, right? Okay, and then we're going to put our pre-seasoned and cut veggies in here. Give them a little bit of a stir. And a little shake. Turn our heat back up. Add the rest of our broth. Okay, now, looking in our pot, I can already tell we might need a little bit more liquid. So if you have ready beef stock or broth, you can go ahead and use that. I'm going to go ahead and add another ½ cup or so of water, just clean, regular water. Okay. We're going to bring this all up to a boil before we add our meat back in. And then we're going to put a lid on it. Now, when you are choosing the container you're going to be braising in, it is important that you choose a container with a tight-fitting lid. So preferably something that came with a lid. You can make shift lids, like steal from one thing to fit another pot, whatever. But make sure it's pretty tight. You don't want to lose a lot of liquid through evaporation during the braising process. You want to keep as much liquid in there as you can. Okay? Let's check back with our pot. Alright, you can see this is starting to bubble a little bit. This potato is shaking. We are getting there. A little bit hotter, and we're going to stick our meat back in. So if you have a taller pot that is more narrow, this is going to look a lot different, right? Your veggies are going to be stacked up pretty high. So I'm just going to kind of push my veggies off to the side a bit. this time so that some of my meat can get in this liquid. All right, and we're going to grab our steak from the cutting board and stick it in the pot. Okay. I'm going to kind of nestle it down in there. I want to have contact with that liquid. Nestle, nestle. All right, so we've got some broth coming up over this side, and this chunk of the meat is in there really nicely. I think we're good. Okay, so what do we do from here, guys? We shut off our stove. If you don't want to do it in the oven, you can do this on the stovetop. You just have to watch it a little bit more closely to make sure nothing's burning on the bottom. But what you would do at this point is put your lid on, turn it to low, and like simmer, like super low as you can go without your flame going out, or as low as your controls will allow for your electric stove. And then you just kind of check on it from time to time. But the idea of braising is like a very low and slow cooking method, okay? So think of like when you barbecue, you smoke some meat, you're going to low and slow. That's like the mantra, right? So braising, it's a wet cooking method for low and slow versus a dry cooking method, which you don't have the liquid part, right? So that's like smoking meat, low and slow. You could bake something low and slow. So for dry though, like my last video, roasting, we roasted meat. Now we're going to braise it, but we are going to still do it in our oven. Okay, so roasting becomes braising when you add liquid. Simple as that. So unlike baking, which is usually done around 350, braising is done 250, maybe 200. Or your other options, right? If you don't want to use your stove or your oven, if you have a crock pot or like an Instapot, I think you can braise in an Instapot. Haven't tried that myself, but crock pots are like the king of braising, right? Everybody's mom threw some vegetables and meat in a crock pot in the morning and left for work. When they came back, dinner was done and it was moist and juicy and tender. That's your braising, okay? Your classic crock pot meal. But I'm trying to do this in a way so that people who are just getting into the kitchen, they're just starting to learn, have options, all right? Not everybody has a crock pot. So we're going to do this in the oven today. All right, let me grab my pot lid. On the oven here, you can see I turned my heat off. The boiling is calming down. I'm going to stick this lid. It moves a little, but it lays flat on the pot, okay? It's not going to like flip up. It doesn't have a big gap anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to stick this in my preheated oven, 250 degrees, and this is going to be in there for a very long time. You want to have your shelf, your oven shelf, on the very bottom of your oven, okay? Here we go. Put it in the middle of your oven on the bottom shelf, the very, very lowest you can get your shelf to go. This is going to take a long time. All right, crock pot set on low. I think it's like 3 to 4 hours. You don't want to do high on a crock pot. Keep it low, because that if you put it high, it'll cook faster, but it'll be a little bit more tough. In the oven at 250, at least 3 hours. Okay, that's a big cut of meat I just put in there. So I'm going to check it at about 3 hours, and if it's not kind of falling away from the bone and able to be fork split, like shredded, we're going to leave it in there for a longer time. And with TV Magic, we will be back when that is complete. And we're back! Yay, TV Magic! Okay, my brisket, or not brisket, sorry, I'm used to smoking a lot of meat. This chuck roast has been in for about 4 hours in the oven, 250 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 hours. And I just want to show you this bone just slid right out of there. So easy. We're saving that for the doggy. All right. This broth stuff that's in here will be really yummy for if you want to clear the fat off the top and turn it into soup, whatever you like. The vegetables are fork tender, but not overly crazy mushy. Here's our carrot. You can pick it up. A nice soft bite to it. And look at this meat. Look how it has changed from before we went in and until now. And look at, I can just easily shred this with 2 forks. That is what you want. This is beautiful. Okay, delicious. Ugh, delicious. So this will make a wonderful dinner. I'm going to try it for you guys, okay? Here we go. Very beefy. Delicious. I think I forgot to tell you guys before, I seasoned this beef with Montreal steak seasoning. My family loves this stuff. It's McCormick brand, Grill Mates, Montreal steak seasoning. I'll link it for you if you're interested, but this stuff goes on almost everything in my house. That and Lowry's garlic salt. Okay? My kids die for garlic salt, and my husband loves the Montreal. It's great. It is really great, actually, because me, as the cook, I could make my own blends, but why when my kids love these? And you can get them online for, like, in bulk for way better cost. If you're finding value in the video so far, please like it. Please share it with someone who doesn't know how to cook. I'm trying to put information out there for people who want to learn how to cook. I created an ebook for learning how to cook before you get in the kitchen. I'll link that. It's going to be turning into an audio book soon, so you can listen to it on the car, or in the car on the drive to school, work, wherever. But it's more of like a theory, technical, jargon, supply list kind of stuff. Like, what do you need before you actually step into the kitchen? It's a good base of knowledge for learning how to read recipes before you start doing that. There's some tips on how to choose a good recipe. And in my next video, I'm going to be reviewing America's Test Kitchen book. But, you guys, this is good braised meat. Delicious. You can save some of the stuff here to make gravy. Oh, there's all sorts of fun things you can do. But this is perfect. I'm so happy with this. My kids are going to eat this for dinner, and they're going to love it, which is hard to believe because I have 3 kids, but they'll all eat it. I'm so excited. Yummy braised meat. Yum, yum. All right, you guys, if you try this recipe, let me know. Shoot me any questions you have in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.